Wherever the Irish people have found a home, the name of St. Patrick is a familiar one, and there's hardly a place in the world where the Irish haven't found a home. On St. Patrick's Day, the 17th of March, it seems the whole world wants to be Irish, and to somehow honor this patron saint of Ireland, even if it's only by drinking green beer. But if you asked your average St. Paddy's Day reveler who St. Patrick was, you might be greeted by an awkward silence. Or a more informed person might tell you that Patrick was an Irishman who first brought the Christian faith to his homeland. Oh, and he drove out the snakes. But even this more informed account of St. Patrick would be wrong on every point. St. Patrick was not Irish. He wasn't the first to bring the faith to Ireland, and he didn't drive out the snakes. So who was St. Patrick? Well, to begin with, Patrick was not even his name. His given name was Maewyn Succat, and according to his autobiography, which he called The Confessions, his hometown was Benavent-Taburnier, which some historians think was an old Roman fort at the border between Britain and Scotland. He was born to Christian parents around the year 400. The actual year is unknown. His father Calpurnius was a deacon. His grandfather had been a Catholic priest. Patrick later admitted that his behavior as a youth was not very Christ-like, and that he practiced his faith poorly. But then, when he was 16 years old, catastrophe struck. Patrick and many of his neighbors were kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken away as slaves. For the next 6 years, Patrick worked as a shepherd in the northern part of Ireland. The work was hard, and his master was severe. But God put that time of trial in Patrick's life to good use. During the long, quiet days and nights in the green pastures of Armagh, Patrick began to pray. As he reflected years later, more and more the love of God increased, and my sense of awe before him. Though I did not realize it, the Spirit was burning in me at that time. At long last, Patrick managed to escape by ship and return to his family in Britain. But while at home, Patrick had a dream in which he heard the voice of the Irish people call out, "We beg you, O holy man of God, to come and walk again among us." Patrick knew he was being called by God to bring his newly rediscovered faith to Ireland. Patrick left his family once more, this time to France. Here he hoped to deepen his faith through study and to immerse himself in the Christian life so that he could be an effective missionary. Patrick entered the monastery in Auxerre, where he met the holy abbot and bishop of that place, Saint Germain. Saint Germain had himself been a missionary, and he encouraged Patrick in his vocation. After several years, Saint Germain ordained Patrick a priest. Patrick became a trusted assistant to Bishop Germain and accompanied him on his travels throughout the diocese and beyond. One such trip took them to Rome for a meeting with Pope Celestine I. Germain introduced Patrick to the Pope and described his young protégé's dreams of being a missionary to Ireland. Pope Celestine immediately agreed to the plan, ordained Patrick a bishop, and commissioned him to bring the gospel to the people of Ireland. It was Pope Celestine who also gave Maewyn Succat the Latin name Patricius, Patrick, a title that highlighted his status as an emissary of the Sanctus Pater, the Holy Father. Patrick, together with a few of the monks of Auxerre, then set off to begin his mission. There had been earlier missions to the Irish, but these had ended with little success. Many considered the Irish people to be too wild and warlike to be suited to the Christian life. Druidism, the religion of the Irish people, also held the people in spiritual darkness. People lived in constant fear of all kinds of sorcery, spells, and superstitions, trapped in a dreary fatalism. But Patrick had lived among the Irish and knew their language and their customs. He was convinced that the light of Jesus Christ and his mercy could dispel even this darkness. Patrick spent his first Lent in Ireland in imitation of Jesus, by retreating to the wilderness and fasting alone for 40 days and nights. Patrick was harassed by demons, who came in the form of blackbirds, so many that they turned the sky black. But Patrick did not despair, and when he fell to his knees to pray, an angel appeared who scattered the birds and assured Patrick that his mission to the Irish would be fruitful. Patrick then went to Tara, the capital city of the Irish. The High King, Laer, had gathered all the heads of the Irish clans to celebrate the Druid festival of Beltane. The king had decreed that no other fires should be lit besides the bonfire he had lit for the festival. But Patrick defied the High King's decree and lit an Easter fire across the valley from the king's fire. The Druid priests chanted and danced, hoping by their magic to extinguish Patrick's fire. A great rainstorm suddenly came on the valley. The king's fire was put out by the rain, but Patrick's Easter fire would not go out and continued to burn through the drenching rain. King Laer was impressed, and while he did not become a Christian himself, he allowed Patrick to continue his mission through all of Ireland. Patrick composed poems and hymns in the Irish language, and he cleverly used ideas and images familiar to the Irish to teach them about the Christian faith. Most famously, he used the 3 leaves of the clover, a plant found everywhere in Ireland, to describe the Blessed Trinity. Patrick met bitter opposition from the Druids. He was beaten, kidnapped, falsely accused, and imprisoned. But in spite of this opposition, Patrick and his companions persevered in their mission. Patrick is credited with having baptized tens of thousands of people and founding more than 300 churches and monasteries. By the time Patrick died, more than 30 years after he had begun his mission, the Christian faith had been firmly planted in Irish soil. And the Irish people, long considered too wild and violent to become Christians, became themselves missionaries to the whole world. Patrick, once a slave of the Irish, returned to his oppressors in order to liberate them from a far worse slavery to ignorance and idols. It's this mercy of St. Patrick which is perhaps what should inspire us most. St. Patrick loved his enemies and prayed for his persecutors. And it was this witness of mercy that led those former enemies to become friends of God. No, Patrick did not drive the snakes from Ireland. There seem never to have been snakes in that island country. But Patrick's love for God and courage in preaching the gospel helped drive the ancient serpent out from the Irish people.